to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. My name's Connor Williams, and we're back with another video. And today it is regarding the announcement that Everton have confirmed that the men's senior team will play competitive fixtures at the Everton Stadium at the start of 2025-26. The full 2024-25 campaign will be Everton's last at Goodison Park. Obviously, yeah, no name to the stadium, yes, so it's Everton Stadium. Everton have decided that they will move at the end of the season instead of midway through it. I'll give my thoughts on that little bit. First, we have some words as well from Colin Chong, spoke today, and sort of, we've released the news. And give you my thoughts on him. So he was speaking to the fan advisory board. Well, he said, I've had the pleasure of meeting the fan advisory board, and the meetings have always been honest and frank about the club's opportunities, discuss stuff like that. They said this was confirmation that the first football fixtures our senior men's side will take place at our new stadium will be 2025-26. He said, firstly, and absolutely clear, our decision to not move mid-season is not because of construction delay. It is a club decision driven by a combination of commercial insight, comprehensive review of logistics required, an analysis of the potential impact upon football operations, and importantly, fan feedback sourced as part of the recent stadium migration survey, which was completed by over 10,000 Evertonians. Stadium says it's still on track to be completed within the final weeks of 2024. They'll need to conduct test events on the new ground to check that it's safe and get a safety certificate. Some of those tests will involve crowds of varying capacities, as well as involving some of their own staff. As we will, of course, provide more details for Evertonians on how to get involved. So it sounds like before we even play a game, you can get in there if you are one of the lucky ones who get to test it out, which is fantastic as well. I mean, you won't be watching Everton there, but you'll still get to go in the ground and have a look at it. It is. I think it's fair to say it looks like it's going to be a fantastic football ground. So really great to see. He did go on to mention Goodison Park. He said, by the time we close our gates for the final time at Goodison Park, we'll have been at our home for nearly 134 years, with many supporters telling us very clear about their desires to make sure the grand old lady gets a fitting send-off. For a while now, the club have been looking at a series of events, tours, celebrations that will allow the club to pay tribute to one of the world's most well-known and iconic grounds. Now we know the farewell of Goodison will be a year-long celebration. We can start to firm up those plans and begin to reveal more details as it goes on. So that's quite exciting as well. It looks like the club are planning some sort of a send-off for Goodison Park. That's really nice to see. Obviously, I think the most important thing about all of that, the fans will say, is no matter what the club have planned events-wise, the performance on the pitch needs to be symbiotic to that. It's all well and good saying goodbye, Goodison will miss you, while it's not going too well. Which, under the current course of the manager and how the team have been performing, I have no doubt we will give it the send-off it deserves. I'm really enjoying watching us play. This is the first time in a while I've been able to say that I enjoy watching Everton play. I enjoy Sean Dyche. I enjoy the way the team plays and all the lads. There's a real, unity behind that. So that's fantastic. And I have no doubt under the current regime, fingers crossed, touch wood, as long as nothing Evertonish happens, it'll be a send-off of a great kind from the footballing aspect. He then later goes on to just mention that they'll release pricing models and stuff and look for a fair mitigation process later on. The mitigation from fans to Goodison to the Everton Stadium will be a big task, and for our insight and fan-centred team are relishing. Basically, they'll reveal a little bit more about that, but they did put in the questionnaire that he recently referenced, that it basically asked you how would you think is the fairest way to mitigate those fans over. Be interesting to see what the club do. Obviously, a lot of fans, like my dad's a season ticket holder in the Gladys Street. He'd quite like to keep his locate his area of his seat. So he'd like quite like to be behind the goal again in the new stadium because that's where he is now. Whether him and fans like that get that choice is yet to be seen. It also finishes off by mentioning that there'll be, bars, restaurants, and experiences at the new stadium. This, I think, has got potential. The stadium rival Tottenham, not quite in terms of capacity because their capacity, I think, is bigger, but in terms of what it could offer us, the events, the bars, the restaurants, commercial revenue from this could be fantastic for the club. I'm thinking, Anfield hosts concert. Why can't we host a concert on the River Mersey? Fantastic drop setting. If you get one of those drone footages of like, I don't know, uh, trying to think of somebody who'd look amazing there. I mean, let's say she ever does. Let's say someone like Taylor Swift, who's quite big in the world, or I know Elton John did Anfield. Someone like that was there. Drone shot, them singing, the pyro, the lights, and everything while overlooking the Mersey. That's fantastic. That is a really brilliant drop setting. That would look fantastic as well. We've already seen the drone shots of the stadium being built. One of them being filled with an Everton game is going to be fantastic. One of a tour, a gig is going to be fantastic as well. So, yeah, commercially, I think this new stadium, I know people are upset about Goodison Park, and it is a wonderful stadium, and I've enjoyed some great memories there, which I'm very lucky to have. Um, it is a fantastic old stadium as well, one of its, last of its kind. But I do think when you think about how football's moving, how teams move, how the Premier League is constantly moving on, this new stadium, it's not even just about the football, it's about the brand, the naming rights, which are still up for grabs. Um, the commercial revenue is fantastic. This could help us, one, sort out the financial troubles, and two, could help us close the gap a little bit more, uh, to the top of the Premier League. Or most Premier League teams that are good have a good stadium behind them. It's a great way of revenue. I do think it's sad that we're leaving Goodison, but I think we have to, sometimes you've got to put a bit of yourself off to grow, sort of thing. That sort of metaphor, and I think that is this. Looking at some of the tweets about it, people have shared. First, before we go into the tweets, the decision to move at the end of the season and not mid-season, I personally think is the right move. Listen, logistically, moving a stadium is going to be tough. I know he said the team are relishing it. That is tough. It's got to be done right. You know, it's got to be done right and it's got to be done properly. And if your first home game, we saw it was at Arsenal this season had problems with the gates at their ground. If our game is like we move midweek or whenever there's an international break, first game back, something goes wrong, it will be manic. It's better to do it at the start of a new season. You've got the summer to test stuff, you've got the summer to do what they're doing, test safety, test the little events out, and it just is so much more relaxing. There's no mad panic dash. It'd be like moving house. And I think for the team as well, it'd be a great time to, one day they're not playing, one week they're playing in Goodison, the next they're playing somewhere new. That at least with the summer, they'll have time to see the players will be able to see the ground, play a couple of friendlies in it, get used to it. They're not going bang straight to the Lions Den and going whoa, because hopefully this stadium does have that whoa, this is amazing effect on them. You don't want that in the middle of a game. So completely agree with the decision to move at the end of the season instead of mid. I know people will say, well, it's a waste of having a ground if it's empty, but listen, they will need to do tests galore on this before it's fully ready. So just let them do it. Looking at some tweets as well, some people seem to agree. But at Sam James, he replied to the Toffee Blues' announcement, which you can go check out our Twitter down below. He put, glad it's no longer mid-season, but a deep feeling of sadness and reality has kicked in that we're truly leaving our beautiful, iconic ground. RCGT4 underscores put right decision, thumbs up. Man, a few words. But yeah, I agree with both that sentiment. And then when you look down the Everton announcement, some of the people. I mean, some people were a bit confused by Euros and slipping it back. It's only been slipped back from the start of a new season. Instead, and later in the year when the new season starts, instead of doing it, right in the middle. Um, some people are a bit, is going to be sat there empty for a little bit. But I can't express to you, in my personal opinion, how much better it is to move now because, and I guarantee it, the people who are going, what about the empty stadium? Your fume will be a lot worse if we move week or mid games, mid season, and it has a detrimental effect on the team, or it just causes a lot of faff for the fans. Like if you're a match goer and you're a season ticket holder, and you are like, oh well, the ground's going to sit empty, and then the first week back something goes wrong, you're going to go quite rightly because you will be annoyed. You will go nuclear if you can't get in the ground or whatever. There's some sort of technological issue. There always are bits, not just with Everton, any club. There's always bits that need ironing out. This gives them the time to iron them out. Then come September, if something goes wrong, a few will quite rightly be deserved. Nobody can go, well, it was a bit of a drop of the hat move. So yeah, I completely agree with it. It is sad to leave Goodison, like I said, but I think this is the start of a new era at Everton, and hopefully a more successful one. And hopefully, it brings better, better results, some trophies, closing the gap, better financial stability. So, yeah, the future's looking bright, hopefully. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts on the stadium move. Look forward to being them, and I'll see you soon.